Hey, what's up, Skipball? Here with Imagination Creation Films, and today we're answering every question we can for you on the new red V-Raptor-X, EVF, and so much more. So, right off the bat, subscribe. You know you want to. So, the red V-Raptor-X was just announced a few days ago, and we already have tons of information on it, and, well, many of you have already received cameras. I would expect to see a lot of cool videos about it very soon. I'll be working on one as well as soon as I can, but I got to get through this backlog of reviews first. We had a live stream this past Friday with Jared Land, president of Red, and Phil Holland, who everybody knows and loves, and Carlos Quintero, who everybody knows and loves as well. They both had their Raptor X's in their hands for the live stream, so it was a great place to learn a ton about new Raptor X, as well as the new EVF and maybe some future products as well. So what's different? The sensor, optical pathway, processors, audio preamps are all different and new, so there's quite a bit, honestly. What's new about the sensor? First off, we have an all-new global shutter VistaVision sensor. It's identical in size to the VistaVision Raptor. The main difference is, of course, the global shutter. Global shutter allows the entire sensor to be read at the same time, so there's no more rolling shutter or artifacts from that. Red also managed to beat the dynamic range hurdles that have plagued global shutter sensors in the past with everybody. Red was the first with OG Komodo, then Komodo X got a boost in DR, and now VistaVision Raptor X has basically the same DR as the non-global shutter version. What's new about the optical pathway? Well, there's a new optical pathway, which resembles me in high school, the king of rejection. What I mean by that is that it's more refined for getting light to the sensor with very minimal artifacts. Now, Phil states he was unable to detect any abnormalities at all. He tried for 2 hours with his death ray flashlight test. He couldn't get anything to show up. What's new with the processors? Well, they're new, updated, and slightly faster, which you would expect for an updated design. The new processors pull a little less power than before. However, the global shutter sensor and processing does consume a little more horsepower, so it actually equals about the same power consumption as the OG Raptor. What's new with the audio? Well, audio has been updated to the Komodo X's preamp, and you get the really nice, extremely usable audio, which is honestly so good. So what's up with the intelligent autofocus? Okay, so this one has confused a lot of people. OG Komodo had an acceptable autofocus. It wasn't fantastic, but it was good most of the time. Komodo X's autofocus was, well, a bit better because, well, of a couple things. It had more processing power, so it could do things like face detection, and it had more dynamic range, so it could see better than the OG. Couple that with a global shutter, and it had cleaner images to process for autofocus. Now, V-Raptor also had face detect as well, and with its higher processing power and its extended dynamic range, it could perform fairly well. Now, Raptor X has slightly more processing power, the same dynamic range as Raptor, but with the addition of global shutter, it can see better, making the autofocus on Raptor X perform really well. And my guess, it is just the beginning for Raptor X. What is this extended highlights feature? Okay, well on this one, it's rather interesting. So on DSMC 1 and 2, we had a feature called HDRX. It allowed you to grab a second frame 1 to 6 stops underexposed to allow you to capture highlight information. It worked okay in certain situations, especially time-lapse, but when the motion was too much or just more than slightly, you start to see some strange artifacts showing up because of the rolling shutter. Another issue that plagued it was the processing. It was a processor hog. Combining these two images in post, it was a lot. Red made it easy to do. You simply slid a slider to mix and merge one image over the other. But it takes hours to process footage this way, sometimes. Well, Raptor X has brought a new version of this back called Extended Highlights. It works on the same principle, but it's simplified and more advanced. So you no longer select how many stops under you want. It's just enabled or not. But what is different is it appears to look forward and backwards in time for this information. And it does it in real time in camera. So no big post-processing required. As I understand it, it can look up to 6 frames forward and backward to gather the detail. Now, this was based on some Jared speak on our live stream on Friday, and also the global shutter and the extremely fast readout of the sensor. There are less artifacts that get mixed in. Although I understand you can still get artifacts to appear under certain situations, such as extremely fast camera movement. But another great feature is you can enable this in camera and simply disable it in post if you don't like this result or don't need it. So you don't lose that flexibility. Now, this does come at a cost. To record 2 frames at the same time, obviously that affects the frame rates and the data rates. Now, this may or may not affect you depending on how you're shooting. Raptors have a max data rate of 800 megabytes a second, so if you enable extended highlights, you only actually have 400 megabytes a second available for each frame. So your compression would have to increase if you try to exceed the 400 megabytes per second allocated. Now, same with frame rates. Raptors can do 120 frames a second in 8K open gate. With extended highlights, that gets cut to 60. So not all frame rates and compression settings may be available if you have it selected. The good news is you don't always need to use extended highlights. I mean, unless you're just in a really awkward and difficult setting. You may only need it for a few shots in your feature. So, you simply turn it on for those few shots and then disable it for everything else. So what are the details of the upgrade program that Red has brought back? Currently, V-Raptor VistaVision and XL VistaVision can upgrade to X by sending their camera in. The cost for Raptor is $12,500. I'm not sure what the cost is for XL yet. We'll find out. You can schedule your upgrade for any time over the next year, and you only have to pay when your scheduled date arrives. Now, the window for scheduling these is not going to be open forever. I'm told a relatively short period of time. So if you're looking to upgrade, but maybe you're not ready or don't quite have the funds yet, understandable, schedule it out as far as you need. But don't wait to schedule it, as you don't want to lose the opportunity. And when your date comes up, it takes about 7 to 10 days for the upgrade to take place once they receive your camera. If I upgrade, what changes on my Raptor? Almost everything will change, except most of the shell. The entire sensor block and mount is all connected to the front face, so that will all be replaced. Basically, all the boards will be replaced inside the Raptor. The processors, the audio, they're all new. They will also add new badges to your case to show that it's now an X. Now, if you have an all-white Stormtrooper, the front face is going to have to be replaced with the black one. But you'll have a really cool black and white camera now. Get it? Yeah, black and white. So what's this new EVF? Well, the new EVF is almost identical to the DSMC2 EVF, but some better software gives it better black levels and brightness. Now, a future Pro version might be coming with better optics that might be designed from an undisclosed company. Maybe. It was leaked. There's also a very large EVF that they are also working on. It's about $12,000, and they teamed up with Astro for it. Now, it's a way better EVF, but obviously more expensive. It also requires multiple cables to connect. It uses SDI and power instead of RMI. And it's going to be just rentable for now to select large projects. It has a lot more control and fine-tuning in the software, and it has much better optics in the bigger one than the DSMC3 EVF. We'll see about that new optics for the little one. Where's the 5-inch touch monitor? Well, Red's learned not to reinvent the wheel whenever possible. They have only so much engineering man hours available, so they're spending it on things that they need to versus everything else. Now, that makes it better. One of these is the 5-inch touch monitor that they are looking to not reinvent. Red is looking at the smartphone market for a 5-inch monitor. There are so many really fantastic smartphone displays out there right now, and the whole market is going through kind of a large changeover in tech that'll make them even better. Now the OnePlus 12 AMOLED is a really good example. Red doesn't want to make custom displays or have them made. It's very expensive. They'd rather use one that they can source and not really have to charge an arm and a leg for all that development cost. As stated by Jared, and I would kind of take this as a strong hint, the OnePlus 12 is the perfect size for Komodo X, but it is slightly larger than 5 inches, more like 6, but still smaller than the 7. And it is going to cost similar to the Touch 7, as there's a whole lot of work that you have to do to integrate the screens and the functionality and all of that. But think about it this way. You'll end up with an extremely capable, bright, color-accurate screen for the same money. So stay tuned and be patient. Good things are coming. Why can't we use the old DSMC2 monitors if we can use the DSMC2 EVF? Well, that's actually quite simple. The resolutions weren't standard on those old monitors, and they won't work with the new RMI. So that's every question that really I could come up with that people were asking, or I thought that they would ask. What do you think about all this? Let me know in the comment section down below what you think, and I'd love to know your thoughts about it. Remember to like and subscribe, and please support the channel by purchasing any of your Red hardware through B&H down below. It really helps the channel. Also, you could really stand out and become a channel member. Yep. It allows you to be part of the cool kids club, like these top tier members. And as always, as I like to leave it, don't let your passion center around your life. Let your life center around your passion.